Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and we got some more Russell Wilson to DC buzz. So Kevin Sheehan reported today on his radio show that Russell Wilson is not against playing for the Washington Commanders. So we're going to be talking about that in today's video. I'll show you guys the clip from what Kevin Sheehan said. We'll talk about how much it would take to get Russell Wilson and how much I would give up and if I think it's realistic. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. I'm so close to 7,000 subscribers, so please help me get there. Also, please follow my Twitter, trying to get to 1,000 followers on there. So now, let's get right into the video. It is no secret that the Washington Commanders need a franchise quarterback, and they need to try to get one this offseason. And one of the big name quarterbacks that could be available this offseason is Russell Wilson. And today, Kevin Sheehan, who works for 980, he on his radio show, I'll read what he said right here, and then I'll also play you guys the clip from his radio show. So he said, Russell Wilson is not against playing for the Commanders. And now let me I'll play the radio clip right here.
Back out there, and that's what you do if you miss out on Wilson, Rodgers, or Watson. Now let me just repeat what I had said last hour. I did learn from multiple sources that Russell Wilson would not be against being traded to Washington. Of course, the most important part of that is Seattle going to trade Russell Wilson? And then would Washington be willing to pay the going?
So that right there is some really big news that Russell Wilson would even consider coming here would be great. And he's pretty much saying, like, if he does get traded, he would not mind coming to Washington. It would all depend on if the Washington Commanders can give up what it takes to get Russell Wilson, and that will be a lot. But Russell Wilson here would be absolutely amazing. I think I made a video about Russell Wilson last week, and I talked about what Chad Ryan said, and this is what he said about a week ago. Some news that's not related to the name. I'm hearing rumors that the veteran QB Washington will be heavily pursuing is Russell Wilson, and he said at this stage, just rumors. Don't treat this as confirmed. So, things are starting to line up, and this really doesn't matter at all, but Jonathan Allen and Russell Wilson took a picture together with their wives in the Pro Bowl, so that's good to see right there. And they posted it on Instagram, so they're getting together in the Pro Bowl. I don't make really much out of that at all, but it's just funny that it comes out at the same time as what Kevin Sheehan said. And I do believe what Kevin Sheehan said. He's pretty reliable source. I think he's not really a reporter. He just, does radio and, of course, his podcast, which he puts out almost every single day. But he is, connected. He has sources. So I definitely believe him when he says this. He's been right in the past with, a bunch of different Washington stuff. So I'm going to trust him on this. And again, this does not mean we're going to trade for him. It doesn't even mean that Seattle Seahawks will trade him. So we don't even know if it's going to be a possibility. But if the Seahawks do end up trading Russell Wilson, it's possible that Washington goes and gets him. If you remember last year, Russell Wilson put out a few teams that he wouldn't mind, being traded to, which was funny because usually you do that when you're demanding a trade, but he wasn't. But it kind of shows you, like, he's kind of on his way out. He said, I think it was the Raiders, Cowboys, Saints, and I know I'm forgetting one team, but the Cowboys and the Bears. The Bears just drafted Justin Fields, so I don't know if they would move on from him right away after his rookie year. The Raiders have Derek Carr. That could be a possibility where they do a swap right there. The Cowboys, I don't see it because they have Dak Prescott. They just paid him. And the Saints, it would make sense, but first off, I think he said the Saints. Russell Wilson probably want to go there because of Sean Payton. Sean Payton isn't there anymore. Also, they're like they're in debt. They have like $40 million over the cap, so they're not going to be able to afford Russell Wilson. We will be able to afford Russell Wilson. We have a decent amount of cap space. You can also always restructure his contract. Some contracts, on other players on the team. We're one of the teams that could trade for him. Of course, The Broncos could trade for him. If the Panthers wanted to, they could trade for him as well. So, of course, if Russell Wilson becomes available, we're not going to be the only team that comes knocking. But, there's people on, Twitter, some even analysts that are saying Russell Wilson is falling off. He's not the same quarterback he once was. That's baloney. I mean, you look at this year alone, this was considered a down year for him. 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. And not only did he do that, but he was playing injured. And with, one of the worst injuries you can have for a quarterback is a hand injury. I think, I can't remember what it was, but it's a pretty bad injury. He came back way quicker than he, probably should have. So that's why his stats are a little bit worse. We saw him against us. He wasn't great. And that was like 1 week after he came back from the injury. He probably shouldn't have been playing until the week after he played us. And, he still came out there and almost had a 5-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He still played at a pretty high level in 2020, had 40 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 31-5 the year before, 35-7. 34-11. I mean, the list goes, on and on of his stats, and he's a great, great, great leader. You don't have to worry about anything with Russell Wilson when it comes to off the field stuff, things in the locker room, nothing like that. He's going to be totally fine for you. He's only missed 2 games in his NFL career since 2012. And yeah, I mean, he's obviously, we all know what kind of quarterback he is. Great deep ball thrower, accurate, able to extend plays with his legs. He's obviously super mobile, but he doesn't even need to use his legs to get yards. It's more about extending plays, but he can obviously get some yards when he needs to. I mean, in 2020, had 500 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Russell Wilson is the total package, not only a great player, a great leader, great guy in the community. I mean, he grew up in Richmond, so I mean, you tie all that together, and I think it would be the perfect storm for the Washington Commanders to go ahead and trade for him. I would give up a ton to go get him. I mean, it's gonna take a lot. The Seahawks aren't just gonna take him for a couple first-round picks and a solid player. I mean, it's gonna take, I believe, minimum 2 first-round picks, probably 3 first-round picks, one of our players on our defensive line, and a mid-round pick or 2. So probably, when it comes down to it, 3 first-round picks, a D lineman, and maybe something else. And I would try. I know people are going to say I'm crazy, but I think, and I don't think the Seattle Seahawks really would want Daron Payne, just because, yes, Daron Payne's a great player, but if they're trading Russell Wilson, that means they're in rebuild mode. They don't want to pay a guy $15-16 million a year plus, when, especially a D tackle, because he has 1 year left on his deal. So they're going to have to do that right away, and it just doesn't make sense for a rebuilding team. If you trade someone like Montez Sweat, first off, plays, more important position, is younger, has 2 years left on his deal. That would be more appealing to the Seahawks, and I think that would be more value. If you do something like 3 first-round picks and Sweat, that's when I think it's more realistic. And, Russell Wilson, still relatively young, 33 years old, about to turn 34. He's still in his prime and will have a bunch of good years left, in my opinion. I mean, we see a lot of these quarterbacks, play until their late 30s, early 40s now, and, who knows in 10 years how these quarterbacks are going to, how, old these quarterbacks are going to be when they're retiring. I mean, it seems to be every year, it's increasing the amount of quarterbacks that are playing in their late 30s, early 40s. Not everyone's going to be Tom Brady, but you see Aaron Rodgers. These guys that, really haven't took a beating in their career are able to play late into their 30s, early 40s, and Russell Wilson has been relatively healthy his career, so I think he should be able to play for a long time. So I'm willing to give up a ton, and it's a somewhat appealing, place for him to go to. He has a good offensive line. I don't know about top 5, maybe top 5, but without Brandon Sheriff, we'll see. It's a good offensive line though, really good offensive line, really good elite offensive line coach. You got a good running back in Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, if we can re-sign him. I mean, he has a connection with Russell Wilson in Seattle. That would be great right there. You have a number one receiver in Terry McLaurin, a good tight end in Logan Thomas, good backups. So, I mean, you really have a lot of pieces in place in that, in that offense. You just got to put that quarterback in there. And obviously there's a couple spots that you can improve on, but it's really the quarterback. So I think it would be somewhat appealing place for Russell Wilson to come to. He's got, the pieces in place on the defense. They just got to, obviously put it together and, come to the nation's capital. And also, it's a rebrand. So he's going to be if he comes here, he will be the first quarterback for the Washington Commanders, in their new era. So I think that would be appealing to him as well. And I mean, I would give up a ton for Russell Wilson. I mean, he's probably my number one option in terms of trading for a guy, just because I really like Deshaun Watson and, his value is higher. But at this point, don't know if he's going to, get cleared. And if he does, it's going to look bad, but at the end of the day, they'll probably do it anyways. But I really, really like Russell Wilson, and I know all of you guys do, but I think some people are, thinking it's going to cost a lot less than it actually will cost for Russell Wilson. I mean, you think last year what the Rams had to give up for Matthew Stafford, who about the same age, but not the same level quarterback, in my opinion, than Russell Wilson. They gave up 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and Jared Goff. Some people felt like, the Rams were actually, getting value just giving away Jared Goff. But I think the Lions actually wanted Jared Goff just as a placeholder for a year or two, because, their GM worked in LA and was one of the guys that wanted to draft Jared Goff. So that's 2 firsts, a third, and a player to get Matthew Stafford. And I think it would cost more to get Russell Wilson, probably 3 firsts and a player on that D-line, maybe another pick, and that's a lot. And you think for someone like Deshaun Watson, it would be like 3 firsts, 2 seconds, a couple players. I mean, it's going to take a lot for Deshaun Watson, especially since he's under contract for a while, much younger, and he's an elite quarterback. But that's kind of what I'm thinking it will take for Russell Wilson. A value of about 3 first-round picks, maybe a little bit more if you add in those players. So let me know what you guys think. How much would you be willing to give up for Russell Wilson? I mean, you think with Russell Wilson on this team, we are the favorites to win the NFC East, and we are one of the favorites in the NFC. One of the top, you put in the Packers if Aaron Rodgers comes back, and the Rams. Those 2 teams are probably ahead of us. But after that, I'm not sure there's another team that would be better than us or, favored over us. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And again, this is still a pipe dream. I mean, Russell Wilson still has to be made available, and then we're going to have to give the best offer, and who knows, he still might not want to come here. But thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.